readers, this is Mam-Mary, and I am one of the Starfish Reading Lab readers, and I hope you enjoy today's book with me. We're going to be reading a very special book about something that I love a lot. It's about poetry. So let's see what we have in store for us. Daniel Finds a Poem by Micah Archer. Here's the first page. It says Daniel finds a poem. Daniel knows all the rocks, trees, and animals in the park. Do you see? He's even feeding a dog. On Monday morning, Daniel sees something new. On the park gate, a sign reads, "Poetry in the park, Sunday at 6 o'clock." Can you find the sign? It's right here. And you can see all these people. And there's Daniel. "What is poetry?" Daniel says. He looks up in surprise when he hears Spider say, "To me, poetry is when morning dew glistens." Can you see all of the morning dew on the spider's web? And can you find Spider? Let's see. He's right here. Okay, ready? Next page. Do you see all of the beautiful things on this page? Can you find squirrel before we start? See? Right here, there's a squirrel. On Tuesday, Daniel climbs the old oak tree. This is an oak tree. He sees squirrel. "Squirrel, do you know what poetry is?" "Poetry is when crisp leaves crunch," Squirrel tells him. There's Squirrel. And can you see the crisp leaves? There they all are. Have you ever seen a squirrel before? On Wednesday, Daniel calls into a chipmunk's hole. "Chipmunk, can you tell me what poetry is?" Can you see the hole? All the way down, and there's Chipmunk. Isn't she cute looking? Poetry. Poetry is a home with many windows in an old stone wall. There's Chipmunk and Daniel. And can you see the old stone wall? It's here. You can even see all of the holes with the windows. Let's see. Next page. On Thursday, Daniel makes a boat with a leaf for a sail and watches the wind carry it across the pond. He calls quietly to Frog. "Excuse me, Frog, what is poetry?" "Poetry," says Frog, "is a cool place to dive into." You see the frog diving into the lake? How many fish and tadpole can we see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So cool. And there's Daniel's boat. On Friday, Daniel parts the cattails. These are what cattails are. And finds Turtle. "Hello, Turtle. I have a question. Do you know what poetry is?" "I think poetry is sun-warmed sand," says Turtle. See the turtle? And you see Daniel, and look at all of the cattails. There's a certain type of weed that grows next to the river and lakes and ponds and all of these things. And you know what turtles do? They're very, very slow. So they talk really slowly. Okay, let's go on to the next page. Can you find our animal for this page? It's really tiny. It makes like chirp, chirp, chirp. What sound does it make? Let's see. Look, I found it. It's a cricket. On Saturday afternoon, Daniel finds Cricket in the shade of the slide. There's the slide. When the shadows are long, Cricket fills the air with music. Is this poetry to you, Cricket? Singing at twilight when the day is done. Indeed it is, Daniel, says Cricket. That night, the moonlight fills Daniel's room. He hears a whoo. Can you guess what animal makes whoo? Let's see. Can you guess who makes whoo? Leaning from his window, he calls to Owl. There's Owl, and there's Daniel. Owl, what is poetry? Oh, poetry. Poetry is bright stars in the branches, moonlight on the grass, and silent wings to take me wherever I go. Good night, dear Daniel, she whispers, and flies off into the night. Isn't Owl beautiful? And you can see it's nighttime. And there's the moon. On Sunday, the sun wakes up Daniel. He's happy when he remembers it's Sunday. Can you remember what's happening on Sunday in the book? Let's try and think. Let's wait. Come on, let's see. Today is Poetry Day in the park, Daniel says, and I have a poem. That's awesome. Let's hear what poem Daniel has. Morning dew glistens, crisp leaves crunch. There's a home with many windows in the old stone wall. Cool pools to dive into, sun-warmed sand to lie in. Singing at twilight, the day is done. Bright stars in the branches, moonlight on the grass, and silent wings to take me wherever I go. I think that's Daniel's poem. Do you see? He's even saying it in front of all of these people. That's so brave of him. On the way home, Daniel stops to watch the sunset sky reflecting in the pond. Do you know what reflecting means? It's almost like what mirrors do. It shows you what you show it. So the sunlit sky at sunset, and there's the pond, and it's reflecting it. That looks like a poem to me. To me too, says Dragonfly. And that is the end of the book. I hope you enjoyed Daniel Finds a Poem. Personally, I like poetry a lot, and I was able to say one of my poems in front of a bunch of people. After I read this book, I have a card for you guys to see as well. So as you know in the book, Daniel asked a bunch of different animals what a poem is to them. Then he put all of their answers together and made it into his own poem. But what he did was he said it in front of the whole park, which must have been really scary because he's just a little boy and he would say it in front of all of these people. So it must have been scary for him, but he still did it. So a virtue that Daniel used in this book at the end of the book was courage. So what does courage mean to you? Interesting. This is what it says on the card. Be strong and let your heart take courage. And you can see a lion here. Courage is personal bravery in the face of fear. So when it's scary, you still do what needs to be done. It is doing what needs to be done even when it's really hard or scary. So in the book, Daniel had to do something that could be really scary if he got nervous, but he still did it. Courage is going ahead even when you feel like giving up or quitting. Have you ever felt like quitting in your whole life, but you still pushed forward and did it? Courage is needed in trying new things, in facing the truth, and in picking yourself up after a mistake, ready to try again. So after you've made a mistake, or if someone told you something that was really sad or hard to hear, have you ever picked yourself up and used courage? It comes from knowing down deep what is right for you and believing in yourself to do it. Have you ever believed in yourself, like really believed that you can do something? Courage can come from a prayer and the trust that God will help you. So, whether you believe in God or not, I feel like you can always use courage no matter what, because it comes from deep down inside of you. So, no matter what, you should use courage. And let's see how we can use courage this week, this month, or this year. Can you try and use courage from now on if you haven't already? Practicing courage. Let's see how you can practice it. I do what is right even when it is hard or scary. So you should do what's right even if it's really hard or really scary. I find strength in my heart even when I'm afraid. So even if you're really scared, you find the strength to push through and do what needs to be done. I am willing to try new things. So as a person myself, it's been hard to try new things sometimes. But you should try new things as much as you can because it really helps you. I admit mistakes and make amends. So making amends is like asking for forgiveness. So if you make a mistake or if you hurt someone's feelings, you know that you made a mistake and you hurt their feelings, and you say, I'm very sorry that I hurt your feelings. And that takes a lot of courage. And then I trust in God to give me strength. So whether you believe in God or not, I feel like you can trust that you will have strength no matter what. Courage helps me do what I know is right. So you should do what you know is right, and you should keep pushing through, especially in this difficult time. You need to use courage to keep you and your family safe. So wash your hands, stay quarantined if you can, and stay at home and stay safe. Bye-bye.